For years since Philips Hue has been releasing colored smart lights, users have been finding creative ways to enhance their media viewing experiences using colored lights with their home entertainment setups. With ad hoc solutions and even official solutions getting better over the years, there was never a perfect consumer solution to match colored lights with on-screen action that in a way that was affordable or even responsive. But Philips finally created a product specifically for this, the Hue Sync Box, available now. Is Philips' attempt to provide an official solution to the problem of syncing lights in an entertainment setting with media being displayed on screen. I got my hands on a sync box and it took some time to set it up and play around with it, so let's take a look. The installation was simple enough. Plug an HDMI source into one of the 4 ports and then an HDMI out to the display. In my case, I had the Hue Sync Box capture the HDMI signal out for my stereo receiver and then the output to the signal to my TV. The Hue Sync Box requires its own power source, but in a stroke of consumer convenience, the Sync Box uses the same AC power format as the Hue Play light bars. So I was able to avoid plugging in something new and just connecting the power to the adapter that was already set up to power my 2 connected light bars. After physical setup, I was asked to connect to the Hue Sync app, which I believe is a really strange choice. Philips is asking users to connect a separate app to your sync box rather than implementing the existing Philips Hue app that's already required to use this product. This forces users to access 2 separate apps to set up to control the functionality of this one device, which frankly I find totally silly. Once an entertainment zone is set up in the Hue app, then it's over to the Hue Sync app to set up the box. Here you play with settings ranging from the brightness, the synced light's intensity, and also you could set between overall settings, video, music, and game. However, it doesn't say what these settings actually do, and I cannot find the information from Philips Hue anywhere, so the difference between the settings is not apparent to me. On the plus side, once the entertainment zone is set up and the app finishes the sync box setup, then the lights start syncing to the screen almost instantly without much tweaking. That isn't speaking for personal preference though. It took me about an hour to adjust entertainment zone light positioning, light intensity, brightness to find a standard baseline setting that I was happy with. That being said, the lights themselves seem to have little to no latency in sync, and the actual function of the lights matching the dominant color on the screen is frankly quite amazing. So the setup was easy, and the device itself works very well. Where I think the true value of the sync box lies, however, is with personal preference. For me personally, I find that my enjoyment of the Hue Sync Box varies. When watching movies or TV shows, I find that my enjoyment of the Sync Box is dependent on the genre of what I'm watching, and even then it can oscillate between awesome and annoying. Here are some examples. When watching Thor Ragnarok, the way the lights emphasize the fire on the sides of the screen really brings me into the scene. However, on more quiet scenes, the function seems totally unnecessary and is distracting, as the light flashes behind the screen trying to match the lighting of the characters' faces. This rings true with Star Wars The Last Jedi as well. I expected the throne room scene to really shine with the lights syncing to the action on screen, but the effect was subdued and I didn't feel like it added anything to the experience. And even more so, the more conversational bits, I found the light syncing to really pull me out of the moment while watching. Finally, I tested on Star Wars Rogue One. Again, the conversations I found the light syncing to be distracting, while the action scenes I found it really pulled me in. Especially so in the infamous Darth Vader scene, which was the only experience I had with the sync box where I felt the light syncing actually added to the experience of watching a film. Conversely, while playing games, I feel the sync box is at its best. While playing Assassin's Creed Origins, bleeding the light from the vast open worlds onto the walls can really help the immersion of feeling like you're in the desert or entering an oasis. As for games where the visual element and distinct style are the focus of the game, like Sayonara Wild Hearts, the impact is sublime. So where do I stand with the Philips Hue Sync Box? Personally, it's not for me. With my setup, to get maximum enjoyment, I would need to turn the feature on or off depending on what I'm watching. And the act of accessing a phone app to turn my lights on or off for a specific watching experience isn't worth the effort for me. I feel like I only enjoyed it fully on a handful of video games, while other games, it didn't really do enough for me to make a difference, or if I even noticed if the feature was on or off. For movies, it felt like it was mostly distracting or annoying, with the exception of a few key scenes. And at the $230 price point, I feel like the Hue Sync Box is not worth investing in for one or two gaming experiences, or that one scene from a favorite movie. The Philips Hue Light Box is easy to install and works perfectly as advertised. However, some questionable choices, such as the separate app for controlling the Sync Box outside of the already required Hue app, paired with a high price point, mean that this is not a device that is an easy decision to add to a home smart setup. I can't help but wonder if adding more lights to create more gradients behind the screen may help with the distraction factor. My personal setup, I'm using 2 play bar lights attached to the back of the TV, but the Sync Box can accommodate up to 10 light sources, and I've seen videos online of people using as much, and I mean that's a lot. I also think that for others, they may not feel the lights are distracting at all during movies. I think it all comes down to personal preference. If you think the lights won't be distracting, have a more complex setup, and the price isn't a barrier, then the Hue Sync Box is definitely a better option than the ad hoc solutions you'll find out there. But if, like me, you find the feature to be somewhat more of a fun novelty that you use only to show off your lights but wouldn't actually use regularly, then I think you could sit out investing on the Sync Box for now. If you have questions, please feel free to write them in the comments below. Thank you for watching my review of the Philips Hue Sync Box.